lot to discuss, a lot to get into for
A
sure.
very eye-opening week, and now we jump into our three truths. Alec, I'll start with you, and one of the truths you want to present. What was your first takeaway from week one in full?
Yeah, I mean, let's start right there with that Monday night game between the Jets and the Bills, man.
Mm-hmm.
My first truth is that the Jets should be in full panic mode. We talk about week one overreactions sometimes because a lot of times week one kind of can function as like an extension of the preseason, and we're not exactly seeing the teams that we're going to get throughout the season. But for the Jets to lose their star QB in Aaron Rodgers in game one of the season, hadn't even played a full series. He got 4 snaps in and tears his Achilles. That's crushing for anyone affiliated with the Jets, but that organization, their whole kind of season hype and hopes were built on him coming in as a quarterback to provide some stability to that offense and help take them over the top because they already had the running game set. They had an elite defense set with young up and comers that have proven themselves already, and he was supposed to be the final piece of that puzzle. So to lose your star QB in the first offensive series of the season, man, that's
Four
crushing.
plays in, didn't even throw a pass yet. Like, come on, man. It seemed like it was all the buildup. This whole start of week one. As much as there are other games we want to get to, of course, football is back and we're happy before that. But I feel like the full buildup was for this game. Seeing Aaron Rodgers now in the green and white of the New York Jets, we wanted to see how that would play out against this Buffalo Bills squad. That would be a viable opponent. And for him to have the grand entrance that he did on 9/11, you see the New York hat he has on, the round with the flag, and he does celebration with sauce on the logo. And then 4 plays into this game, not even throwing a pass yet, he goes down. It's just like, bro, what is this? So at first, everybody kind of reserves hope. They didn't realize how bad it was at first. It was like, oh, he might just hurt his ankle. He'll be back. Just rub some dirt on it and get back out there. But then they saw him in the tent.
He went down,
yeah, and then just him being unable to get up. It was like, oh yeah, this is a lot worse. Than it is. So yeah, the Jets have to readjust. Zach Wilson is the guy for right now. And the slight adjustment I have to your take, because I do understand that they have to be in full panic mode. Along with that, hey man, Robert Saleh, tell the truth, man. Tell the truth. He's came out like 4 times already. Zach Wilson is our quarterback. This is Zach's team. We're going to be rolling with Zach. He's been here. Hey, bro. Listen. Y'all stole that game. Josh Allen hands y'all that game in many ways.
Yeah.
And though Zach Wilson did throw a touchdown in that game, people are giving Zach a lot more praise than he's deserving for the effort that for the achievement that the Jets got in that Bills game. Yes, Zach did throw a touchdown. In my opinion, it was kind of a bad pass. Garrett Wilson had to adjust and snatch it away. Then the defender juggling and catch it back, get back to himself. He threw a real bad pick where he was eyeing the middle linebacker the whole time, and there was an obvious dump that he could have went to. And
there was no window there for that.
There was no window or anything. So there clearly is a lot of room for improvement for this player still, which is why they brought in Aaron Rodgers, not only to be a mentor, but to take his spot for a little while. Like, yo, sit down because you don't got it right now. So for this team to say, okay, well, we'll just go back to Zach when the whole reason Aaron Rodgers is here is because of how bad Zach was, and he hasn't shown even in the game last night or 2 nights ago that his play hasn't grandly improved. I think them right now publicly being all for Zach isn't necessarily the right move. There are ways to say we support Zach right now, and we're going to do our best to make sure that he is in proper shape. But for Rob to be like, this is our guy, this is Zach's team, I think that is a misstep. So very interested to see how that plays out. And I agree that they need to be in panic mode and find another quarterback quick to get them back on track, because they had super aspirations with Aaron Rodgers, and it no longer is the same with Zach under the helm. So yeah, I agree with you there in full force.
Yeah, with your tell the truth comment, it made me think of that. I think that was like that movie Concussion, where Will Smith was like the doctor, and he's like, "Tell the truth."
Stop.
That just immediately popped in my head when you said that. But no, I agree. I was gonna add that was the icing on the cake of, or the icing on the shit cake, I guess you could call it,
sure.
of Aaron Rodgers leaving that game, because you got to cue up Zach Wilson's entrance music immediately. You got Zach Wilson coming back. You got the exact same situation you were in last season.
Right.
same infrastructure. You were expected to have an MVP caliber QB, and then you thrust Zach Wilson right back into the exact same spot. It's a really tough situation. I guess the silver lining is that, like, because of how bad we've seen him be, like, there aren't really high expectations for him. So maybe that's a little bit less pressure for him. But still, with the hype that they had as a potential playoff lock, it's going to be rough with him taking over the helm there. So I think they need to be realistic about their intentions to go out and sign another QB for sure.
I fully agree. So I won't go too far with that. I don't want to stay on this moment too long. What is your next truth after week 1? Go ahead.
Yeah, you can kind of tie it in with this game. You talked about Josh Allen kind of handing over the game with his 3 interceptions, 4 turnovers in this game. But I feel like NFL teams as a whole need to take the preseason a lot more seriously. I mentioned how week 1 is kind of an extension of the preseason in a sense where you got the first stringers. Some of these first stringers didn't play at all in the preseason. Some played like a couple series maybe in game 3. But there was no real like continuity. You saw a lot of rust for these offenses. You saw them just kind of struggling to get things going and to get things clicking offensively. And defenses kind of manhandling some of these teams that we expect to be real contenders for playoffs and potentially Super Bowl with teams like the Bengals. It was just kind of, I'm already someone who feels like preseason should be taken a little bit more seriously. I think it's a different sport, but we talked about the Lakers in previous years kind of bullshitting their way through preseason and then starting off 5-10 or starting off really weak when their all-stars, their veterans didn't take the preseason seriously and other teams did. And I feel like there is a plus to getting those reps in against your NFL opposition versus just relying on the training camp reps that you're getting in the preseason. I know there's risk of injury, of course, but freak injuries are going to happen regardless of if it's in the preseason game or if it's in week 1. Like you get Aaron Rodgers getting hurt week 1. So yeah,
we see down there every year that guys go down, and we saw again this year, even beyond the team success and the wins and losses. We see guys go down with all the hamstring injuries and the calf injuries, and guys may even, to the grand degree, sadly, tear the ACLs, or even to Rodgers have his Achilles pop, which was a freak accident. But just to say that there are a lot of injuries early on of starters who hadn't got geared up yet because they hadn't played in preseason and got fully up to game speed. Jumping now into a full game, trying to play at that level, and their bodies aren't fully there yet. So I fully agree with you. The preseason needs to take it more seriously. I don't think we need to see any more Will Grier games where he gets a whole game to play and run the show. I think we have more time for these guys to get in game environments and get geared up as we get ready for fun seasons, and that hopefully will help a little bit avoid some of the mishaps that we saw in week 1s this year and we've seen playing in the past as well. So I'm fully with you on that, and I'm interested to see if NFL teams do the same going forward. So we'll be tuned on that for sure. So
and just one quick clarification too. That's not to say that first stringer should be playing the full 60 minutes in the preseason. I'm just saying, like, they should be getting at least a few series like per game, like just to get the reps in for sure. I'm not saying they should be trying to win these games, taking it seriously as a regular season game, but I think they should take it seriously in terms of getting their offense clicking against other NFL defenses.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And yeah, again, just looking forward to that. So those are 2 truths from you. Definitely appreciate that. Some weeks you'll have 2 and I'll have 1. Some weeks I'll have 2, you'll have 1. It varies just based on what we see and what takeaways we have from what's going on. This week, my one takeaway is that I'm using him as a base, and I'll go further into it. But Shedeur and Shedeur Sanders, what we're seeing with his play in college football right now, may shift how teams tank in the NFL. We're seeing a lot of teams, and we've heard all offseason about all the tanking for Caleb, all the tanking for these teams are all positioning themselves to get the number 1 pick because he's the star quarterback. He's the Mahomes, Lamar Jackson combo of Caleb Williams here.
I've heard more refined Patrick Mahomes.
All the crazy accolades. And on some degree, while that is extreme, Caleb is a great player that deserves his praise, at least somewhat. So some teams should do what they need to get him. But for other teams that are kind of middle of the pack, maybe stuck in the middle trying to figure out, do we keep playing good and risk losing out on some of the star quarterbacks, or do we just throw in the towel now and fold so we can make sure we get a higher pick? There may not be as much of a need this year to do so because there are a good plethora of quarterbacks in this class. Quinn Ewers is on the way. Michael Penix is on the way. Caleb Shador is on the way, as you said. Drake May, as already noted, is on the way. So there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this class that are going to be in this first round who teams may not have to fight so hard to position themselves to acquire. So kind of back in the NFL and what we're saying, we're going to see teams like we already saw kind of early on, which also kind of ties into what you said just about the rust and things. But we're going to continue to see teams maybe like the Rams play a little bit better than expected because they don't have to worry too much about nailing it in at any point down the line to make sure to position themselves for a draft pick. We're going to see teams like, I think we saw the Bucs win this last week. Teams that we discussed, we had a tier list that we did that we actually didn't get a chance to post to you guys. But there are teams that we saw as bottom of the pack who showed themselves to be a lot better than expected, and we may see them continue to be so the rest of the year because they don't have as much of an incentive to throw in the towel down the line with how many good quarterbacks are going to be available this upcoming year. So excited to see how that plays out, and what are your thoughts on that truth after week one?
Yeah, I think we're in unison on all these truths. I don't think we disagreed really with any. I'm with you there. And I think another thing to add to your point is we heard Caleb Williams' dad talking about it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to go to the draft as well. Like he still has another year of eligibility where he could go back to USC. He could still make millions with the NIL in college as well. But he just talked about the structure of like the top prospect is typically going to not a good situation NFL wise. As we see Bryce Young in the Panthers organization, and the Cardinals likely to be the organization that would potentially be getting a number one pick. It's not a foregone conclusion that the top prospect will be available in the draft. So you might not want to immediately go into full tank mode to try to get that guy when that guy might not even be on the board. So I'm 100% with you in that point.
So excited to see how the play of guys in college right now influences the NFL, and seeing how teams, we might see a few more upsets this year with teams fighting a little bit harder this year without that need to tank. So looking forward to that. And that was the last truth that we had for week one. So a lot of exciting things to pay attention to. We'll continue to bring more truths to you after each week. And I think this is a good introduction to the segment, and excited to see how that plays out going forward. So